Coping with COVID is brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. Also, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Center. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their life. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Center at agapects.com. And Columbia Housing Authority. The agency is looking for stories from former residents of Allen Benedict Court to retain some of the property's rich history. In its 80-year life, Allen Benedict Court has been home to some of the country's elite, including a Grammy Award-winning performer, corporate executives, national television celebrities, a host of doctors, lawyers, and NBA greats. So share your pictures, mementos, and memories at chcares@chasc.org. Coping with COVID, brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Columbia Housing Authority, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connection.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
Fight the spread and take a stand against coronavirus. Wear a mask in public. Stay at least 6 feet apart from others. And get tested. Join us and fight the spread. Visit scdheck.gov/COVID-19.
Happy Friday to you. I'm Tre Tailor, and you are watching Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. As you heard, it's brought to you by SCDHEC, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Palmetto Media Connections, and Agape Counseling and Training Center. Listen, if you're having some challenges coping with COVID, please contact the folks at Agape Counseling and Training Center. Well, it's Faith Friday, so get ready to get motivated, inspired, encouraged, and uplifted with my former boss from WQOK in Raleigh.
Hello.
Hello, Cy Young.
I haven't smiled like this all day, so it's really nice to see. So thank you. Thank you.
No, Cy, thank you so much. Like I said, he was my former boss, and now he is a minister. And I tell you, won't radio make you have a relationship with the Lord?
Swear to goodness. And working on it even now. Yes, absolutely. I still am in radio. Even though I said after the last time I was not gonna do this anymore.
Well,
I'll tell you about that later.
Right. We're going to talk about that and more coming up next with Cy Young. But first, your COVID community updates. The second Senate debate with Lindsey Graham and Jamie Harrison is scheduled for today, but the event is in jeopardy as Senator Graham has refused to take a COVID test. Now, Harrison has requested Graham be tested since he's been in close contact with the president, who is currently recovering from COVID. Now, Graham says he took a test last week and will be at the debate, whether Harrison is there or not. It's scheduled for 7 o'clock tonight in Spartanburg. Richland School District 2 hosted a Facebook Live meeting last Tuesday to cover the Phase 2 reopening plan. Now, Superintendent Dr. Barron Davis says his team has looked at the COVID numbers in the district and spoken to experts from both DHEC and Prisma Health and plans to begin on October 26. To view the event and other R2 meetings, including the upcoming school board meeting, visit richland2.org. And yesterday, we told you about the opening plans for Richland School District 1, and now that district is canceling 3 and postponing 3 more football games due to players testing positive for COVID. Now, 4 of these games were scheduled for today, and 1 is a JV matchup. SCDHEC has the most up-to-date listings of times, dates, and locations for COVID testing in and around South Carolina. Check the scroll at the bottom of the screen for more information, and that information will be scrolling throughout the show. Now, there are COVID screenings going on pretty much in every place in South Carolina, including Camden, Newberry, Aiken, Allendale, Florence, Columbia, Sumter, and in Orangeburg. Now, check the scroll at the bottom of the screen. There's also information about the DHEC Care Line. Now, there you can find out more information about COVID and get transportation to a COVID test. Now, if you're unable to get transported to a COVID test, maybe you're immobile or not able to get around, in Richland and Clarendon County, those paramedics are going in home to administer tests to those who need it. Call 911 Monday through Friday and schedule an in-home COVID test if you need it. Richland, also maskupcolumbiasc.com is the number you need to go to. It's the website, actually, if you want to win some cool prizes from the city of Columbia. Now, all you have to do is take a picture of yourself in a mask, post it at maskupcolumbiasc.com. Get your family and friends to like and share it, and you could be a winner. It's maskupcolumbiasc.com. Now, if you're having some challenges paying your rent or your mortgage, the South Carolina Bar Association and SC Legal Services are offering a toll-free number and website for rental and mortgage help. And the city of Columbia is also offering a 6-month payment plan for anyone who is behind on their water bill. They also have up to 75% in payment assistance. Check the information on the screen to contact the City of Columbia Water Bill Department if you need some assistance. Now, the South Carolina Department of Employment and Workforce has offering free classes and certifications in several areas: business, technology, health, data science, arts, and humanities. These courses are offered in English and Spanish. They are free, and October 31st, the end of this month, is the final day to register. The Richland County Democratic Party is hiring canvassers to leave info at voters' doors. Pay is $15 per hour, and that includes training. Now, you must be at least 18 years old, computer literate, and own a smartphone. You can email executive director at richlandscdems.com. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we talked to Rashonda Pratt, and she gave us some great information if you and your children are learning virtually. Well, she set up a YouTube channel to help you parents. So you can see the information right there on the screen. So please check out Rashonda Pratt and all of the information she has for parents and students that are virtually learning. Now, Brooklyn Baptist Church, the West and Northeast locations, plus Rehoboth Baptist Church, and also the Lakeview Empowerment Center are doing food box giveaways again. Now, it's going to begin next Thursday and next Friday and run through November. We'll continue to give you updates about the free food box giveaway. Finally, it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And if you or someone you know needs some information, please look at the screen and contact the folks that are there to help you. Coping with COVID is airing live on the Tailor Made production page on Facebook. That's the home for Coping with COVID. Please go over there and hit like and follow so that you can not only get updates on everything happening as far as COVID is concerned, you can watch Coping with COVID Monday through Saturday at 2 p.m. We're also streaming live on YouTube. I want to say hello to all of you YouTubers. Please go over there and hit subscribe. Now, you may remember when Tony G was here a couple of weeks ago on Faith Friday, he mentioned my next guest, who was actually our boss. Cy Young has enjoyed an illustrious career in radio, having worked in the Washington, D.C., Nashville, Kansas City, and Raleigh. He has won numerous awards, including PD of the Year, Personality of the Year, Operations Manager of the Year, multiple times, and has received hundreds of letters, awards for his community involvement, leadership, and volunteerism. And then, as his bio says, God called him, and we'll talk about that. Cy is now the associate minister at the Fountain Church in Raleigh, where he enjoys teaching high school and adult Bible study. He's currently general manager for WAUG Radio and TV on the campus of St. Augustine's College. He's been married to the gorgeous Vicky for 36 years. Wow. And they have 4 children. Cy Young, thank you so much for joining us today on Coping with COVID. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you letting me come in and hang out with you. I do. This is. I've been grinning since. And by the way, your news, you have gone and gotten real fluid, real smooth. And if I can find a way to hire you and put you on TV somewhere, I hope you don't mind moving one more time. But yeah.
Thank you, Cy. Listen, that really means so much to me because, like I said, we've worked together before. You have such, as I said, an illustrious career in broadcasting. And here's the other thing. I know you wouldn't say it if you didn't mean it. Right. No,
some things have not changed. That's one of them.
I know that for sure, that you wouldn't just be saying things all willy-nilly. So,
no, I'm really impressed.
Thank you, Cy. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Cy. Thank you. Well, listen, I want to know first, why and how did God call you? After all of the radio, and then you just shared with me some other things that I didn't know, that before we actually met in Raleigh, you were having some challenges where you were. I won't tell that unless you want to tell it.
No, I'll tell it when as we go. I'll tell that. Get on.
All right. So what happened that God called you in the midst of your radio career?
I was going through a really stressful time in radio and the stations, the stations that I was taking care of, and a stellar staff. But it was really stressful, and everything in business. Business is about money. Don't let them tell you. Don't let them tell you anything different. It's money. And they were making a lot of money, but they wanted to make more. And then I survived, if you will, several ownership changes. They were keeping me like furniture.
Right.
And so at one period though, it was the stress I call it middle management stress. So you have the stress above as a manager,
right,
and then the stress from managing a team of really creative people. And so I remember not being able to sleep, and
wow,
I went without a full night's sleep, not more than 3 hours for about 6 months.
Oh
and
my
I was at the end of the rope, not my rope, the rope.
Any rope, huh?
Right. Right. I wasn't suicidal. I just thought I was losing my mind.
Yeah.
And so one morning, my Rottweiler and I, Buffy and I went out. It was late April. It was really in Raleigh, like in Columbia in April, you can have a 70-degree day.
Right. Yes.
So it's balmy this particular night or morning around 2:00, and I woke up and went outside, and every star was out, because God is a show off sometimes.
Yes.
Right. And so I was hurting in my spirit, and I asked God. This makes me cry sometimes, but I said, hey, listen, what do you want?
Right.
What do you want?
Right.
And I laid back, and I was laying on Buffy's chest. She laid sideways, and I just laid back, and I did nod off. I said, what do you want? And this voice said, as clear as I'm talking to you right now, I want you to preach.
What?
And I was like, first of all, I think I've already thought I was losing my mind.
Right.
And now I'm hearing voices.
You're hearing things, and you're hearing things.
Right.
Yeah.
And this thing was as distinct as you and I are right now.
Wow.
And so I said, well, why didn't you just say that? And I laid there with Buffy a few more minutes, and I got up and I went in the house, and I slept till almost 12:00. I missed. I called in when I did wake up. I called work and said, I ain't coming today. And I went to talk to a guy, and Jimmy Yarborough was the preacher. And I had started going back to church. I left that out, but I'd started going to church because how God convicts us sometimes. Hey, if you're going to be the leader of your family, you got to lead all the way. You can't lead halfway. Wow. Yeah. And if you're going to be the priest of your family, be the priest in your family. Wow. That's for women and men. That's not just for guys.
Yeah. Yeah. So Sai, you had started back going to church, and you said it's because you wanted to lead your family authentically. But did it have anything to do with the fact that you were stressing out a little bit about all of the pressures, that had to do with radio? Was that one of the reasons for? Yeah.
I'm certain that the stress was, and I wanted to look for something. I wanted something that wasn't drugs and alcohol. And I've had an illustrious career with my drugs. So when you and I met, and by the way, I'm gonna tell everybody, we met November 7th, 1988 was the first time you and I laid eyes on each other.
Wow. And I know what you're gonna say. I just thought it. I know what you're gonna say.
And right away, Tre thought I thought the world of me right away.
You're not gonna say.
And so I'm blessed harder than you. And so that led to me being able to begin this relationship with God when I really began to seek Him and seek His face earnestly.
Right.
And I asked Him, hey, and that's one of the things I was going to share. I will share is that that God doesn't leave us. We leave God.
Right, that's right.
I promise you, I've left a bunch of times, but He doesn't leave, and He's always ready to accept us just the way we are. Not, I'll start going back to church when I get rid of this habit,
right?
Or I'll start going to church when I stop, when I stop fornication, or I'll, when I get myself together. But the truth is, God wants you how you are, and then you work the process together to get to the next level.
Because you really can't do it successfully, effectively without Him.
No, you need the Lord. You do.
You need Him. Yeah. You need to come on with your broken self, right as you are, as you said.
There it is. I remember the first time I had a case of utterance. I was in my duplex in Nashville, Tennessee. I was doing middays at WQQK in Nashville, Tennessee. And I remember I stopped in the middle of the living room and was preaching at the top of my lungs. But I'm not a fire and brimstone preacher. I don't do that. No, don't get it twisted, because I can. And I can preach a little cadence if I need to. I don't hawk, okay? So,
okay. I think I heard you hawk when I was working for you, though, but I'll digress.
That was different. That was a whole different kind of gospel. That was just trying to get us together, you know? That was the gospel of number one.
Yes,
that's what that was.
Hear you. Yes.
But that episode scared me so bad, and in that moment, in my humanity and in my maleness, if you will, I had I had a whole bottle of Jack Daniels, and it frightened me so bad I drank half the bottle, and was stone cold sober. Nothing happened. So I had something else. Right. And it was, back there that they would have said it was wonderful. And so even with that, I did that. Nothing happened. Stone cold sober. So then I'm thinking, okay, this is weird because I know what I paid for.
Yeah.
So listen, am I being too real? You can tell me now.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead. Give it up. Turn it loose in the words of James Brown.
And I asked God to take that away from me.
Wow. Yeah.
And in the moment, that's all I had. Was like, I don't know what this is, but I need your help. And then I went on about my business. And it was a number of years. I think that happened when I was 23, and I didn't acknowledge that call until I was 40. Wow. Yeah. But I got ordained in 2000. My initial sermon at St. Paul AME in 2000. So I'm not, I'm no longer a rookie, although I don't know it. I know just enough to make me know I don't know much at all.
So, Cy, did the calling that you received from God mean that you could no longer do radio? No, not at all. Okay. Not at all. No, in fact, I think people pay much more attention to the sermon that you walk, the sermon that you live, as opposed to what comes out of your mouth all the time. Because we can all make golden, make it sound all wonderful and fluffy. Right. But if they're seeing us, if they're seeing believers, have a good life and live, and I don't hit the mark every time. I'm trying. Yeah. Well, we're human. Right. We're only human. Right. And I don't walk on water. And the last time I tried, I like to drown. So yeah. So I realized that I need to hold God's hand, and need him to hold mine and hold me up when I'm not feeling strong. And so he's, it's been really good. So but I want to make sure I answered that question. Yes, the stress led to me seeking God, and then later on, and even now, I'm always looking to expand. I get frustrated like everybody else. I want to teach more and preach more. But you know what the hold up on that is? Me. You. Well, me. I was going to say you. Yeah, I'm the hold up. That's usually the hold up. We usually get in our own way. That's true. So let's go backwards, Cy. Now, how did you get into radio? Because as we said, I met you when you came in to Raleigh as PD, and we were paired together to do mornings. Now I can't remember, because I was doing some things back then too. So I wasn't going to say that. But I think I started out as promotions director and then started doing mornings with you. I don't remember, but I think you were promotions director. Yeah. And doing maybe middays when I got there. Yeah, I don't remember. I do remember we did mornings together. And listen to this.
K97.5, the best variety, the best music mix. 7:44, 16 minutes away from 8 o'clock. That's Rhonda Clark's State of Attraction. My name is Cy Young. Good morning. Want to hear what it sounds like when the pressure's on? Somebody check this out. Quick.
Oh, God.
Was that you? Well, I still have no answer on the coffee tune, and you still get a chance to answer. So do call in. Right now, we're going to check out your Triangle rush hour traffic. with the Bryans. Good morning.
Morning, Si. Right now, if you head to the RTP, you can take Fayetteville Road all the way down through Cornwallis Road and all the way down to I-40 to get you into the park this morning. You shouldn't have any problems. And that's the K97.5 rush hour traffic report for Holly Farms. I'm Brian Steve.
For quick chicken divine, it's really divine. Pick up some fully cooked Holly Farms roasted chicken.
Member FDIC.
K97.5, 746. Coming up, the Triangle Radar weather forecast for a marvelous Monday. Also, Steve Lewis is going to take a look at sports first. How you doing? I'm Tre Tailor. Here's what's going on. A group of parents concerned about their children's education met with newly appointed school superintendent Robert E. Wentz yesterday. The minority parents voiced their concerns over academic injustices done towards Wake County students. Right now, under partly sunny skies, a couple of clouds and that blue horizon. It's 66 degrees, 749, and we've got a coffee tune winner on the line.
K97.5, good morning.
Yes, I would like to answer your coffee tune.
The coffee tune?
Yes.
Can you do it?
It's an off the hook with your love by RJ's Ladies Arrival.
Absolutely. Who is this?
Yeah, that's a blast from the past. So, what were you going to say?
You sound good.
You know what? When I was listening, I did sound good, but I sounded very nasally.
No, not touching that.
I did
Nope.
sound very nasally. Anyway, so how did you start in radio? That was a snippet of us doing mornings together in the 80s in Raleigh.
In the 80s. Yep, in 1988, I think.
Wow.
Or 89. I started in Kansas City, Missouri at the age of 17. I got an internship through the Urban League. I worked at a radio station for most of the summer, but I also did some television. And the radio thing was kind of exciting to me, and they let me touch the buttons and push, and
yeah.
and I misread a P, and this is how it is supposed to. Oh, it was awful, but it was my first time in the station. They were good to me. I don't know if you remember the first time Kansas City won the Super Bowl. Was in 1970, and the guy who was the quarterback then was Lenny Dawson, who later on taught Cy Young how to run the cart machine and the reel to reel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, but it was pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and you mentioned this, you managed to survive through several management and ownership changes at QOK K97.5. How can people secure their position in the midst of change? Because a lot of people are going through change due to COVID right now. Can you give any advice from your experience?
I absolutely can. And I can tell you that I'm not as good as I should be. I'm getting better because, in radio, there's a let's see. We learned not to telegraph what we're going to do.
Right.
So it's because if I found out, and we did it to our competition before the company ultimately bought Foxy 107 and then turned it into Foxy 107, 104.
Right.
But we would walk on their promotions every time we got a chance. And so I learned the discipline is the word I was looking for.
Okay.
We don't communicate what we're going to do. We just do it and show up when they're not looking. I've learned though that in COVID times, especially for folks who aren't actually going into a job or job center, if you're working from home, that we need to communicate all the time. They want to know what color you put on that day. It's funny because we take Zoom calls as opposed to being on campus. And I work at St. Augustine's University. I had to remember to put on a shirt and brush my hair.
Yeah.
And they can't smell that I haven't brushed my teeth, but I can brush my teeth just in case somebody wants to see us. They look close. But communication first, and then to be able to track what you've been doing, because they're going to ask. It can be really stressful because I like to just do things and then be on and on to the next. And I don't typically write it down, but I've learned to just take notes. I did this, and I also started using Cortana on my emails so I can track what kind of communication I've had, and then to be able to follow up that communication.
Okay. All right.
But talking to folks is important.
Talking. Yeah. Just being in communication, keeping the lines of communication open.
Yes.
So radio and broadcasting is really a hard habit to break, especially if you love it. Some of us really just have it in our DNA, so to speak.
Yep.
So did you have an exit plan to leave Radio One?
It's funny because they had an exit plan for me.
Right. Yeah. And that happens too.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. So, what I learned was, I learned this before I left, but these jobs that we call my job, your job.
Yeah.
If you don't own the company, it's not your job.
It's not yours. Yeah.
It's their job, and they can do what they want. So the answer to the question, did I have an exit strategy? Not for the immediate, but my exit strategy has always been to make sure that I saved enough money to be able to survive, not just survive, but to thrive outside of the company that I was working for at the particular time. When I got fired from Radio One in 2010, I didn't work for almost 2 years.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Now at the beginning of the middle of the second year, Mrs. Young was, hey,
you got to get out of the house,
bruh. First of all, you don't smell good. You smell like you've been in the house. Not literally, but you need to get out the house is what it was.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that I'd gotten depressed, but towards the end of that, it helped me to get out of the house to begin the search for work. I sold cars. I sold, so I never thought I was going to sell cars. Yeah. We have a friend in common, Hosey Mack, sold cars too.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes. So we've had he and I both went back to school after losing that particular position, because he was operations manager before me for the cluster.
Okay.
And he went back to school. I actually graduated in 2015 because I ran out of excuses. How come I didn't have my degree?
Right.
When I left Tennessee State in Nashville, I was 22 hours short. So if I was double jointed at the knee, I'd kick my own tail. But
So looking back at it, Si, do you think that God pushed you out? Do you think that he was nudging you the whole time, but
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And what happens is that in my comfort, I began to get complacent.
Yeah.
And not necessarily on the job part, but the complacency was larger than the job. The complacency was also in taking care of me. Yeah. And in my spiritual life. Now, yes, I was going to church every Sunday and, sitting there making sure that I don't know any of those people.
I do.
But the answer is absolutely God nudged me, and I'm really glad. I've done some other things. I worked and God has a way of putting you at an assignment for ministry. I worked at Center for Employment Training as a recruiter and an advisor. And that was much more in line with the kind of ministry that I think that God has in mind for me. And ministry isn't always sitting behind the pulpit and getting ready to preach. In fact, more ministry takes place outside of the doors of the church.
You're right.
And so I fed hungry folks literally and physically, and took care of people and listened to some. I remember the brother of one of my students got murdered right outside as I was taking another guy home. I was taking one home so they weren't gonna jump him. This was in a pretty bad neighborhood, and so one was okay. The other one, when I got back 17 minutes later, his brother was chalk line around the building, around him. It was a rough day.
Yeah.
But the other side of that is in the victories that I had an opportunity to witness was people gain a skill set and some pride for themselves, and were able to feed themselves and their families, and gain employment. Some of these people have been incarcerated and have records. We were able to get some of the things expunged. So that's ministry. That's working.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking to Si Young. He and I work together in the Raleigh market. He is now a general manager of St. Augustine's College radio and television station WAUG, and we've been talking about his journey. So Si, how did you end up at St. Aug? Did you have the bug to get back in the business and then seek out going over there?
Nope. Really? No, I was not looking for a job in not at the level that I had been working. So I didn't want another program director or operations manager position unless it was going to pay me a whole lot of more money.
Right.
And in this case, I make less money, but it's a different kind of assignment. I was talking about ministry on the job, and there were a bunch of students in the last 2 years. So I started June 18th of 2018 at St. Aug, and I have had probably 10 mentees over the last 2 years. I call them Jabez appointments, where God enlarges our territory.
Right.
Hey, by the way, they're going to be your family. You just don't know it yet, Yeah. And so, I've had people. I'm always careful about in today's environment. You have to be careful about guys have to be careful about having women in the office with the door closed.
Right.
So I just leave the door open. But if somebody is crying and they want a hug, I don't not hug. I just have to be careful. You get the sideways hug from me.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Cy, you were talking about your time at St. Aug and that you're there now. And of course, like I said, all of the years in radio, you have mentored a lot of people. And one of those people is Tony Green.
What's up, preacher man?
Right. We can't hear you, Tony. Your mic is muted. We can't hear you. Lord have mercy, sir.
That's okay. I really respect the problem. I do.
Yeah. Well, here's a picture. Tony, do you see yourself? Tony,
oh my goodness! Look at that. Who's that handsome fella right there with the red cap on?
That is Tony G double E. I don't know why I can't hear you. Tony, did you see yourself?
He's looking.
Yeah, he's trying to get his mic on, sir. I know, me too.
Listen, we know what that means.
Yes. Well, you know what? Listen, we're going to take a little commercial break. We're gonna come back and talk to Cy Young a little bit more, and hopefully we will be able to talk to Tony G-double-E, Tony Green. We're going to come right back with more Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor. Thanks for joining us.
Coping with COVID is brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. Also, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Center. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their life. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Center at agapects.com. And Columbia Housing Authority. The agency is looking for stories from former residents of Allen Benedict Court to retain some of the property's rich history. In its 80-year life, Allen Benedict Court has been home to some of the country's elite, including a Grammy Award-winning performer, corporate executives, national television celebrities, a host of doctors, lawyers, and NBA greats. So share your pictures, mementos, and memories at chcares@chasc.org. Coping with COVID, brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Columbia Housing Authority, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connection.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
I know what most people think. If he broke my jaw, I would just leave. But it's more complicated than that. There are days when you tell yourself to go. Go, 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 just go. But when you get in that car, you freeze. You think, oh my God, I can't access the bank account. Oh my God, I literally have nothing with my name on it, not even the credit card in my wallet. Oh my God, I'd have to quit because he knows where I work. See? Not that easy to leave, is it?
I'm Tre Tailor, and thank you so much for joining us on Coping with COVID. Listen, it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and if you are having some challenge, please contact your local domestic violence hotline. I'm Tre Tailor, and we've been talking to Cy Young, a former program director that he and I worked together in Raleigh, and he's now the general manager of St. Augustine's College radio and television station. And we were also joined by Tony G. Tony, I think he's frozen. Yep, he is frozen.
I know that feeling. I've been frozen before.
He's fine just a minute ago during the commercial break, and now he's gone again. I don't know. Wow. All right, so listen, we're going to try to let me see. We're going to wait for him to come back, and then we'll be rejoined by Tony G. So let's talk a little bit about COVID, Cy. How have you been coping with COVID?
You know, I have my days where my family, my son, Victor, my oldest son, who's started a business and so moved back home. They have to remind me, Dad, you probably shouldn't say that outside of the house. because sometimes I get, there's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of stress. This is one of my favorite things, and it is very effective. I stopped watching the news because there is one person that is taking and consuming the entire news cycle.
Wow, I know.
Right. Yeah. And so without being sick to death of them, I'm sick to death of them. Yeah. And so I'm back off of that. So what I do is I listen to a lot of music. After a really long career in broadcasting, I have a pretty extensive music collection.
Oh, and cool.
Yeah. Oh, hey, when I started, my first radio job was at WKDF in Nashville. I worked midnight to 6 for 3 years, and it was a rock and roll station. And that was funny. but the cool thing was, and honest to goodness, I made $3.50 an hour, and all the records I could steal.
Wow.
And so the jazz, they used to use jazz for their production.
Okay.
And I learned to like jazz because my roommate, my dad liked jazz before, but I wasn't paying attention to him because he was old, I thought.
Yeah.
Right. And now I've turned into him, and I got a pretty extensive jazz collection that started with music that I pilfered from the production library at KDF in Nashville. And if they're listening, no, I'm not giving them back.
That happens.
Yes,
well, listen, Cy, as I said, you have worked with and mentored a lot of great people, including this person right here.
But
do you know who that? Look, let me show you. Let me show you the throwback picture of him. He's right there in that yellow shirt.
That's my programming little brother, Chris Connors, who's an awesome PD himself. Hey,
he is. I always told Chris he won't hire me, but he's one of the best PDs I've had. I'll just say one of them because there are 2 other PDs on the line.
I was going to say, you always told me that I was the best you've ever had, but now since
I did, but that's what I'm saying. I don't even know how. Tony's right there, Cy's right there.
Ray, how you gonna finish that? What's up? You don't feel any pressure there. We don't want you to feel stressed, Ray.
I don't.
Good.
Look, Chris, me telling you that ain't helped me. Ain't never hired me. So.
I know.
Chris Connors, Chris, do you see yourself in this picture? Look at this. Do you see yourself?
Yeah, I did. I see that bright yellow shirt.
I had one just like it. My kids used to call me Big Bird every time I wore that shirt. But I like the shirt, Chris.
I always like to wear bright colors, so it's all good. I'm not surprised.
Yes, sir.
I don't remember that shirt though.
So, Chris, do you have a Cy Young memory?
Man, there are too many to even try to name. But I will say this: I have to give Cy credit for this. I kind of like Cy was in radio, but I was in country and rock and roll, and no black station would hire me because they all said that I sounded like a white boy. And I said, well, I sound the way I sound because that's where I work.
Right.
But I really want to work at an urban station. So Cy was the first program director to hire me at an urban black, whatever you want to call it, radio station. So I do have to thank him for that, for sure.
You're most welcome. Do you know why? Do you know why I hired you?
No, why did you hire me?
Because you had the sound that I wanted for the station. You sounded exactly you were exactly what I needed.
Because he didn't sound ethnic, right?
Right. That's exactly right. That you can be as ethnic as you want to, and walk around with the with the sign and so. But on the radio, you don't have to sound like you're from anywhere.
Right.
So you actually had a nice general market sound, and I think it fit very well for what we were trying to do. And you did an excellent job. Didn't stay long enough. He did. He left a little earlier than I anticipated, but he later on he hired me.
Yeah, I sure did.
Sure did. Yes, indeed. He was my PD too.
Oh, I didn't know that. Where was he your PD?
At Foxy.
At Foxy.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that.
I think you had left the market. You had been gone from me. That was in 95 or 96.
It
was 95.
1993. That was my first program director gig. It was 1993.
Wow.
So he was the PD, and I did mornings.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't know that. Well, I think Tony G is back, and hopefully we can hear him. Can we hear you, Tony?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
All right. We can hear you.
I got my South Carolina posse on the phone. What's up?
We can hear you and see you.
Man, disciples all in Columbia, South Carolina. I don't know how that happened, but the Lord put us here together.
Yes,
that's
indeed.
Right. We're all right here. We're right here.
What's
so
up,
Tony, so what is your favorite Cy Young memory?
I mean, the reality was I called Cy my radio pop because he cared enough about you to ask what you wanted to do in the future when you work with him. And really for that reason now, all the record reps I know, most of them are starting to work gospel now. I know each and every one of them from those relationships back at QOK.
Wow.
And by the way, let me give you this quick compliment. And I don't know if I ever told you this, but when I got hired at the Big DM, I was hired by Andre Carson as he was exiting to go to WPEG.
PEG.
So, Joe Brown was the program director at the time. I had not met him when I was hired. The first time he heard me on the air, he came in the studio. He said, "I can tell you one of Cy Young boys."
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, that's a high. Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's good stuff.
I think that was a compliment. I think that was a compliment.
No, it was. It was.
Thank you.
It was.
Yeah, Cy was a very good program director, but he was hard.
He was hard.
He could be difficult. He could be very difficult.
He could.
But he was very good at what he did.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
Oh, I remember staying up at night like, what am I going to say tomorrow? And I had to have it right. Whatever it was, I needed to have it right.
Yeah, I can feel my face is really red right now. So I feel really blessed up.
Yeah, he was tough. He was really a very tough he was really a tough PD. Earlier, before you guys came on, we played a clip of a Cy back in '89. And we were talking about doing a coffee tune, and we were talking about strong songs.
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
But you know what? If you saw as a manager now, I have eclipsed that side. Now, don't get it twisted. I have that side to me, but I've learned that the authority. By the way, I learned that from Curtis Downey,
who was a great GM. He was really a great GM.
He really was.
I don't think you guys, Chris and Tony, you didn't work with Curtis Downing, did you?
No.
Just for a little bit. I remember the Curtis Downey story. Cy was at WQOK, and I think just started there.
Yes.
And I think Curtis got fired or something happened. And I remember the way I found out about it, Cy, this was way back in the day when Cy used to smoke these Winston cigarettes. And it was, we were in the building, and we're up on like what, the 6th floor, Cy?
Yeah, it was the 6th floor.
Cy was in his office. It was in the evening, and I walked into his office, and he was in there smoking a cigarette in his office.
Because we could do that back
when
then.
you could smoke inside, yeah.
Right, and make everybody else have a sickness.
We couldn't smoke in that building. We could not smoke in that building. But that day he was, and I knew that was a stressful day. I didn't know what had happened at that time, but for him to have lit a cigarette in his office, I knew something major had just popped off.
Dude, I had a bunch of stressful days in that building.
Because I was actually part-time at the time, and I remember they escorted him out of the building.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
That was toward the end of his tenure there when I was hired part-time. And they escorted him out of the building. I do remember that.
Well, that's what they did.
Yeah, it was a tough day.
I've been escorted once or twice. Yeah,
and I was escorted out of that building. After Chris hired me at Foxy, they found out before I let them know, and walked me to the door. And Jay Michaels was in the lobby as I was walking out, because I think I pulled the trigger before they did, because Jamming Jay Michaels is in the lobby. He said, "Dang, dude, are you gone?" I said, "Yeah." Are you next? He said, "I am." I said,
"Oh, wow!"
Yeah.
Good God Almighty.
Yeah. So we shook hands. I gave him a hug and said, "Listen, if you need something, call me." And we're friends to this day. Yep. So it's good.
Well, yeah, you had to be friends with him. He didn't fire you. I mean, and that's the thing about it. As radio people, we had to recognize it was no need to be mad at each other. We're working for somebody else.
That's true.
That whole radio war thing. Because at any point, you could be the person you are working against could be the person that you are working with.
Amen.
And four, and your case, and four.
Yeah, and more. So
yeah. Jamal Bates said Tony G is the best PD he's had so far. Now I think he's on. No, he has had one more PD. I was gonna say I think you were the only PD he's had.
The second one.
But you're the second one. Yeah, he's the second one. Now, like me, he wouldn't say that in front of Doug Williams, but
Doug might not take kindly to that.
No,
Yeah.
he would. No, because Doug felt like he made Jamal.
I knew that Trey used to say that to everybody. She'd always.
I did not say that.
I've ever worked. I've ever had. And I used to say, I bet she says that to everybody.
I really don't. I only said it about you. Now, of course, since I started saying that to you, I started working for Tony. But you were. See, Chris left on that. I'll tell you something about Chris in his absence. So there he goes.
There he is.
One thing about Chris.
Somebody's calling me. Somebody's calling me. I don't know.
You're the man. People supposed to call you. So this was what I loved about Chris as a PD. He didn't compete with you for gigs. He really looked out for you. Sometimes, when your job, the PD's trying to get, especially an on-air PD, they trying to get the remotes and trying to get the appearances. And they already making the PD money, and then you got to compete with them. But Chris really looked out for jocks, and I appreciated that. That was it.
Can I tell my quick Tre Tailor story?
Yes.
Okay.
Tell it.
Let's everybody tell it, Tre Tailor.
Everybody
I know Trey remembers this well, but Trey was doing the morning show when I was at Foxy. She was doing the morning show, so it was a lot of pressure for a young single mother to get up and to be at the radio station at 6 o'clock and to be prepared. You had to come in early and do show prep and get prepared. And then, of course, the microphone comes on at 6, so you have to be ready to go. And sometimes Trey would be a little late. It was a little challenging for her to get there on time. And she had a lot going on in her life at that particular time. But I remember that her son, is it Matthias? Is that
Matthias? Yes.
Tell him hi for me.
I will.
Yeah, she would have to bring Matthias with her to work some mornings, and so she would bring Matthias to work, and then before everybody got there, like 8:30, Matthias would be gone. So I said, Trey, you cannot bring your son to work with you anymore. I said, because, management has said, you can't do that anymore. You can't bring this. Okay, fine. I won't bring him anymore. So I kind of had a feeling that Trey was still bringing Matthias. So
all the secrets coming out this afternoon.
Yeah, I asked her one morning. I
know this story.
Did you bring Matthias? Did he come with you to work this morning? Trey said, no, Matthias didn't come with me to work this morning. I said, Trey, you sure? She said, no, he didn't. No, I said, Trey, come here. So we walked down the hall, and Matthias had taken some kind of I don't know. I guess it was crayon or magic marker.
Oh no!
Over the wall, his name and everything all over the wall. I said, Trey. She said, "Oh, yeah, well, okay.
Well, right?
Yeah, maybe he can."
He was here for a little while. He was here for a little while. But yeah, Matthias made it known that he was there that morning. I think it might have said Matthias was here or something.
Yeah. That's my favorite story too, Chris. Yeah, Tony, say hi since it's get on Trey Day. Do you decide you gotta go?
No. I'm keeping all the Trey stories to myself. No, I think some things, and they're not terrible. They're just they're back then, and I'm good.
That was then, and this is now.
Right.
Single mom hustling. She was a single mother.
Right.
Trying to get it,
right.
Trying to make it happen.
Yeah. I am. Yes. And thank you, because you know what? Listen, Chris, you could have fired me. You could have fired me at that point because you said stop bringing a child, and so I appreciate it. I really do.
It wasn't about me. It was the people above me.
Management.
It was the man who was saying, tell her she cannot bring her kid to work in the morning. So. It was the man, and he pulled me into his office before I pulled you, and he said, "Look at that."
Now, who was the GM at the time? Was it Chris?
Jones.
It was Chris Jones.
Listen, I already knew who it was. You didn't have to tell me.
Yeah.
I know.
As we used to call him, White Chris.
Right.
We used to call him White Chris.
Yeah, differentiate between because we had two Chris's.
Because we had two Chris's. We had Black Chris and White Chris.
White Chris.
Yeah. All right. So Cy Young, Chris Connors, Tony G. Thank y'all, Tony and Chris, for popping on to say hi to Cy
I love
Young.
you guys. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Hey, Chris, how are you coping with COVID? And congratulations on your new gig.
Yeah, as you see, I'm definitely
you masked up.
You masked up.
Ask everybody to tune in to KISS 103.1 in Columbia, South Carolina. You can listen live on air. You can download our app and take us with you wherever you want to go. Matter of fact, Trey, I'm going to be on the air in about 3 minutes, so y'all can tune in and listen to me. I'm in the car, headed right now to the studio, getting ready to.
You late for your air shift, sir. You're late for your air shift.
And you would know
what kind of is that? How the PD gonna show up late for his own stuff?
Right. How the PD gonna show up late?
Hey, I got one for you, Chris. See me after your show.
Right. No. Hey, when Sai told you that, when Sai said, "Come see me after your show," that would mess up your whole day.
It would mess up your whole show. Don't tell me that until after my show. Just tell me after my show. But now I can't even do a show.
I can be man enough to apologize to all of you for that. I've learned differently. I wouldn't do that now. I would just send you a text.
Absolutely.
All right. Look, like I said, Doug's not here, but when Doug used to call, I was like,
"Oh God, yeah." Right.
I can't talk to you right now, sir. I'm trying to do an air shift.
All right.
Go ahead.
You gotta go. Okay. Go ahead, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris. Good luck to you. God bless. Congratulations on the gig. Station sounds great.
KISS 103.1 in Columbia, South Carolina. Download the app and tune in. Okay.
Is it KISS 103.1?
103.1. Yeah, absolutely. Guess you got that.
My God.
All right, y'all have a great day, man. God bless
you.
Thank you, Chris.
Miss you, man. Miss you.
We got to get him down here. Thank you, Chris. Chris Connor's doing the honors.
There you go.
Chris Connor's doing
the honors.
You got to invoice him for that, for the shameless plug. Send him an invoice.
All right, Tony, you good? Tony, you need to. Tony, where's your WFMV mask at?
Well, I mean, I got a mask somewhere, but I can always do the cup. I mean, golly, Jesus.
Yeah, that was. I gotta give Chris credit. He worked his. He worked it. He did. Man.
Oh yeah, but he's been there for a couple of months now. He's doing a great job with the station. So you can always tell where Chris is. You can always tell where Chris is, man. He's doing an excellent job down here.
Well, he's a great PD. He really is.
He did a great job with Hot 103.9 as well when he was over there with Mr. Broomfield. So
yes,
and the big
That's my favorite GM.
And you
John
remember,
Broomfield.
John Broomfield. Yeah.
He's the one. He put me in a high dollar club before he left. I'm so thankful.
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you something about Mr. Broomfield. When I was working at QOK, before Foxy and QOK were together, he was over at Foxy. I was at QOK, and he would get me gigs. He would forego the sisters that were working at Foxy at the time, who I don't remember, and he would recommend me for gigs, for hosting gigs. So he is such a great guy. He's still around. He's still here in Columbia.
And I have been in at events with Mr. Broomfield, and I saw a lady drop a drink looking at him.
Let me tell you something. He's still fine. He's still fine. John Broomfield is still fine. He is still fine.
Listen, he was well dressed, well mannered. He's smart. Clearly, he's a smart man. I remember John. One of the things that I learned from him, we had a station party for our clients at QOK, at WQOK, and we were taking a picture, and I had something in my hand in a glass. And he said, "Excuse me." He said, "Cy Young, come over here, boy. Come over here right now, sir."
Wow.
He said, "Put that drink down. Don't ever take a picture with a drink in your hand."
Right.
You know what? To this day, I don't. If I had one, I wouldn't. Not with a picture.
Right.
Nope. Right. Sound advice.
Yeah. He's a great guy. Yeah, he's still here and doing great things in the community. He's got a station, that he has. He's got a couple of stations in the Greenwood area. So yeah, John Broomfield. Excellent.
Well, when you see him, give him a hug for me. Tell him I said hi.
I will. So listen, as we wrap up, both of you gentlemen, I just want to ask you, what would you say, and Tony's been on the show before, but both of you can answer, what would you say to people coping with COVID right now? Because people are really going through a lot: loneliness, depression, health challenges, fear of the unknown. As men of God, both of you, from radio to ministry. And Tony, I told Cy early in the show, I tell you, radio will make you have a relationship with the Lord, don't it?
Yes. Yeah, it will.
Oh, yes, it will.
Yes, it will. But, we discussed here a couple of weeks ago, Si, just the fact that it's been an opportunity for people. I mean, even artists in our industry to just sit back and take a look at what's going on in their lives, take time to get some time in with God a lot more. And what it has done is it's forced a whole bunch of creativity of things people would have never thought about. And I think these things that are being created right now are going to be probably the look of the future for, radio and artists and how they do things. Just it at this point seems to be a lot smarter, keeping them out of health risk challenges or anything else that may come up. But mostly that it's just been an opportunity for people to stop, look at the numerous things that they have been doing with their lives and try to focus those things into money-making opportunities, books, songs, whatever happens to come into their
shows.
Place. Shows, exactly, like what Tre's doing, etc. Yeah. So it's definitely been an opportunity to sit back and just, kind of do things in retrospect and see what the Lord is giving you to take you into the future, because we don't know what in the world is going to happen after November.
That's right.
Woo. Yeah. Have you got your passport?
Right.
Never mind.
About, right.
I can't. There's no place we can run. You can't run. You can't run from that.
I remember, by the way, doing my transition to middays at QOK, and one day I had a Bible sitting in front of me, and it was because unbeknownst to most people, I was working on my Master's of Divinity. And Si walked in and saw it and said, I've been thinking about that too. So here we are some 18, 19 later.
Ooh, buddy.
And that's something, how God orchestrates.
I'm so glad about it, though.
Yeah, I am too, Si. Anything you want to say in our closing, Si? And after we do the wrap up, I'd love for you, Si, to close us out in prayer. But what would you say to someone, who's struggling, who's really having some challenges coping with COVID?
First thing, pray. There's a thing that old style church folk who believe in God always get on their knees. But if you've had a knee replacement, it's hard to get on both of them. So does that mean you shouldn't pray while you're driving? No.
Right.
Pray
Just pray
all the time. The Bible says pray without ceasing.
Yes.
And so, to have a prayer on your tongue all the time is wonderful. And we don't need to have these long drawn out prayers where people call on everybody they know. I think they're wonderful, melodic and poetic, but I believe that even God, who's probably got a bazillion of us praying right now, appreciates a short prayer because what comes from your heart is what's most important. So pray, reach out to your friends, reach out to people. So when you're sitting inside the house feeling lonesome, especially for folks who live alone, reach out to people. And if you feel like you're in trouble, tell somebody, call somebody, and don't be alone. And reach out. You have 3 people right here who are all believers.
Mm-hmm.
I do respond to my Facebook and Instagram. I do. So yeah. So if you have if you have a need, say so. Don't be sitting up there by yourself feeling pitiful and helpless, because there's always help available.
Absolutely. Si Young, thank you so much for joining us. Tony, thank you for popping in.
Absolutely.
I appreciate. Yeah, thank you so much. I know that was just so special for Si, and
it really look a family reunion.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, Si, I do want you to hang around a little bit so that you can pray us out if you would. And Tony, you can stay for the prayer if you like. I'm just going to do this quick thing. Listen, if you know someone that has a story that could help someone cope with COVID, please go to Tailor Made Productions on the Facebook page and inbox me. I would love to talk to you about featuring your story. If you have a product or service that could help someone cope with COVID, please email copingwithtreitailor@gmail.com. And we would love to talk to you about being a sponsor, just like the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control, or In It Together, or Palmetto Media Connections, or Columbia Housing Authority, or the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities. Now, don't forget, tomorrow on Coping with COVID, we're going to talk with Alicia Ziegler. She has a Fashion Week, and she does so many amazing things in Columbia and in Charlotte, North Carolina. She's going to give you the scoop on how to make it in the fashion industry and talk to us about her new book, Fashion Faux Pas. And then on Tuesday, we're going to talk to a couple of law enforcement folks in South Carolina and North Carolina and talk about who's policing the police. And of course, Fun Day Monday with J. Anthony Brown is coming up on Monday. That and so much more coming up next on Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor. We're going to bring Si Young back in as usual. As typically, I end with my reading of Jesus Calling. But Si, I would love for you to end with a prayer. And please give my love to Vicky, your beautiful wife, and your beautiful family.
You've been all on my page too.
Yes, I've been all on your page. Yeah, I meant to bring the picture up a little bit earlier, but it's fine.
That's
yeah,
okay.
So if you will close us out in prayer, I would appreciate it.
Come on, let's pray. Father, thank you so much for friends and family. And God, we're asking for you to lead us, guide us, and protect us as we find our way through this pandemic. And we're praying for the leadership of this place.
Yes.
And Father, just bless us and pour blessings down on us. Keep us safe from harm as far as the east is from the west. And we know that it's all going to be all right. And we know it's all because of you. So this is in the name of Jesus Christ that we offer this prayer. Amen.
Amen. Short and sweet. I love it. Si Young, thank you so much for joining us today on Coping with COVID. Good luck to you. God bless. And thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Until the next time, I wish you peace and abundant blessings. Please be careful and don't forget to wear your mask over your nose and under your chin. We'll see you tomorrow on Coping with COVID.
Coping with COVID is brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. Also, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Center. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their life. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Center at agapects.com. And Columbia Housing Authority. The agency is looking for stories from former residents of Allen Benedict Court to retain some of the property's rich history. In its 80-year life, Allen Benedict Court has been home to some of the country's elite, including a Grammy Award-winning performer, corporate executives, national television celebrities, a host of doctors, lawyers, and NBA greats. So share your pictures, mementos, and memories at chcares@chasc.org. Coping with COVID, brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Columbia Housing Authority, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connection.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.